So a quick fire one about made to measure versus bespoke. Made to measure is made by computer aided design where it's laser cut. So essentially when you buy a size, let's say 40-inch chest off the peg and it's not quite right, the waist might be a bit big, the sleeves might be a bit too long or too short, etc, etc. Made to measure is essentially an upgraded version of ready to wear. So years ago, like when I started 17 plus years ago, all you could really do is adapt the sleeve length, maybe the shoulder width, but that was really it. Now it's much closer to bespoke in terms of, you know, you've got a slight drop shoulder, or your back is slightly rounded, so that makes the jacket lift up at the back. There are absolutely hundreds of different codes that you can use to sort of adjust and adapt around the body, and then that takes skill and knowledge all in itself. So made to measure starts as a laser cut design and made to your exact specifications, your measurements, fabric, lining, design. Again, made to measure has a huge wide range of designs that you can choose from, or that your tailor should suggest to you to keep it simplified, because otherwise it's very overwhelming. And then is made by people, so people often think that then the entire process is made by machinery, but it's not. That first part is where it's laser cut to precision. Very clever stuff. But then it's moved on to around 30 people who will literally press the lapel, cut the lapel, stitch the lapel, and move on from every element of the suit. So that is a very rounded version of what made to measure is, and is a much lower price point because of the internals used also. So the construction of a made to measure suit is very, very different to that of a bespoke suit. It's got better again over the years. Years ago there used to be sort of a glued chest canvas, and that's where you'd see that horrible bubbling happen if you took it to the dry cleaners once, and it looked terrible. So they don't use glue anymore. Some production companies possibly do, but I don't think so. So it is much softer, it's stitched into the jacket versus using anything like glue, but it is still man-made, so it gives it that stiffness in the chest canvas. Moving on to bespoke, it's completely hand cut, so it starts as a paper pattern where every element and every inch of your body is mapped out on that initial card, which is then moved onto a fabric, and then all chalked, marked out, and then is basted, a basted stitching. So on your first fitting you should see lots of stitching throughout the jacket. You should be able to see inside of the jacket, and what you'll see is horsehair versus anything synthetic, man-made. It's a little bit itchy scratchy, but it allows the chest piece, which is the most important part of a bespoke suit, to move and mould around your body. Some people say, well, I don't want it mould around my body, I want it to hide my body. But tailoring in itself is flattering, but the way it feels with bespoke and the horsehair element, with it flowing and moulding over your body, feels weightless. That's, I'd say, the main thing our clients say. Some people have made to measure alongside bespoke to experience both if you're lucky enough, but they're the real differences. Made to measure will always be an upgraded version of ready to wear, whereas bespoke is completely standalone. It takes hours of work, craftsmanship, to create that bespoke pattern. So after the basted fitting, it's then all pulled apart. All of that stitching you see is then taken apart to then recut it. Your original pattern, the paper cardboard pattern, is also tweaked, so it's adapting your blueprint all the time, and then it's re-put back together. You may need multiple fittings. It may be possible that it goes directly to completion. So there are time elements that are different. So made to measure is much more take your measurements, choose your fabric and your design and lining, and it goes into production and follows a route, 6 to 8 weeks. Can be made quicker, various reasons I won't go into, but essentially for the most part, for most made to measure tailors, you'll be looking at 6 to 8 weeks. And then with bespoke tailoring, tends to take up to 3 months. That can be not because a suit actually takes 3 months, but you tend to have a few tailors working on multiple suits at any time. So there's a time balance consideration, plus it does take hours, approximately 80 hours to make a bespoke suit. So, and because of all the stages and the possibility of multiple fittings, that it takes longer. And then there's the price difference, which is reflective of the work takes place with each. So made to measure, depending on which company you go for, can be anything around £500-600, £1,000. At that price point, you're looking at compromising fabric. So you would probably have something at polyester, a blend. You most likely wouldn't have as much choice as you would at the higher end of the thing. A lot of companies at that price point have gone out of business because it's incredibly difficult to get production, fabric, etc. within that price point, you know, and really if you're investing in tailoring, you're paying for expert knowledge as well. You should be. And so a really great made to measure tailor should be anything from 1,500 to 2,500, let's say, but you shouldn't be looking at much more unless extra trousers, waistcoat, etc., or a really, you know, incredible fabric, pure cashmere, let's say. So then we have bespoke, which tends to be anything from double to treble the price. That will be down to multiple reasons. Won't go into sort of business reasons around it, but the technical side, where it's being made, the quality of the fabric, which should be top level. There's no point investing in bespoke tailoring if you're not choosing the best fabric that there is. And the best fabric does not always mean pure cashmere and silks. It's actually, you know, a blend, and also you want something a bit durable, a bit comfortable to be able to for it to last the test of time, really, because that's why you're investing. So if you're investing in a £6,000 suit, let's say, then you're wanting it to last, and it will last. Also, it's a case of luxury tailoring. You look after it and it will look after you. And I've had clients, their suits lasting anything between 10 and 15 years. So big difference to something that doesn't fit off the peg, terrible fabric. You know, and then there's the confidence side of it, which is massive. You know, you've got to feel good in your suits. Ultimately, choosing between made to measure and bespoke is entirely your choice. Not everyone can afford the extremities of bespoke. So sometimes it's a one-off luxury, and some people are lucky enough to have multiple bespoke suits, but ultimately it has to be down to your needs. And made to measure done well can be, of course, we do both, absolutely exceptional when done right, but like anything, can be done very poorly, and you can waste money if it's done badly. So do your research, ask questions, see the product, read the reviews, and ultimately like the tailor you're working with. I hope that helps to have some idea around made to measure bespoke. We have a lot of articles on our editorial about the differences And of course, if you sign up to our main list, you can find out about how we do things here at Alexandra Wood. Any questions, put a comment below or join our main list and reply. Individual, real people answer, no AI.